Hey, how's it going, everybody? Tall Tesla guy here. So I am talking about this because I am sitting here in the middle of winter, and it brings up a great point. This is something that people ask me all the time. They ask me about the range loss in the wintertime. They ask me about the efficiency in the wintertime, charging in the wintertime, charging in the rain, effects of snow on the car, all those things. So that's what we're going to be diving into today. It is snowing where I am. Whether or not it's snowing where you are, there's this rigid icy blast going across the country that's making it cold for a lot of people, and a lot of people wonder or worry about range loss. They worry about range loss in the car, and they worry about getting in it with frozen handles, the whole 9 yards. So we're going to dive into all that today. So sit back, relax, stay warm. You're watching the Tall Tesla guy. So I'm going to start right into this. So I've had my Tesla Model Y since 2020. So I'm going on 4 years now. And I have lived in northern climates where I live now. I've lived in Midwest northern climates where I used to live previously. I've lived in northern west climates. And I've had the opportunity to be in cold areas, snowy cold areas, wet, cold, humid, dry, the whole 9 yards. And I can say that I have never had an issue that I was totally surprised with my Tesla Model Y. Now, I put an asterisk to that because I had a couple of times where the car was covered in snow and it had a hard time sort of defrosting all of that snow as I was driving. Now, truth be told, I should have given myself more time to plan ahead of time before getting out there. My car was covered in snow. I should have cleaned it all off first. I had this old-fashioned ice car or old-fashioned gasoline engine car mindset where it would just get warmer, the car would get warmer, and all the snow would just melt off it. It didn't happen that way. And what happens is you have a lot of snow on the front of the car, the lights will cover in snow because they don't really get hot, and then you end up with visibility issues when people have a hard time seeing you. And then on top of that, you can have issues where the car, or at least before, you could have issues where the car had a hard time clearing the snow off of the windshield. Now, what Tesla did, and this is with the newer refreshed Model Y that I have, they have heated windshield washer fluid. They have a heat system that actually works to melt the snow and defrost the car. You didn't have that before. That came with a software update, and you would get things that it doesn't fog the windows up like it had in the past. I would drive out in the snow or cold, and my windows would almost instantly fog from my body heat from warming the car up. And now you can actually get around that, and the car will actually defog all the windows, which is nice. In fact, it says defogging on it when it's doing it. Now, I did look at range loss. Now, Tesla actually has a heat pump. Not a lot of EVs have the heat pump because you do lose a lot of range in the wintertime because the car is using the battery to heat the car, to heat the seats, to heat the interior, the exterior of it, to heat the windshield washer fluid, whatever it is. Well, Tesla's actually got a heat pump. It's going to distribute the heat a little bit better. It's a lot more efficient than a regular EV would be. So in that sense, I didn't get the direct range loss increase from driving in the cold as I did from driving in the heat. Now, when it's super hot outside, my friends down in Arizona, when they're driving their Tesla, they notice a dramatic loss in heat or loss in range from the car, mainly from using the air conditioner to the extreme level that you need to the point where they will actually mat out the roof of the car. In fact, I put a expandable, roof shade or whatever in the roof of the car at some points in the summertime. And what it did for me, even where I am, is it prevented the car from having to spend so much energy to cool down before I got in there. The cabin overheat protection was constantly turning on. I was sitting in a parking lot all day instead of being in like a garage. The sun was beating down on it, and my cabin overheat protection was constantly coming on, and it was just zapping my battery down. I was losing 10 to 15% just sitting there. By putting in that sunshade, it helped out a lot. Not dramatic. It helped out a lot. So maybe I was losing 5 to 10% instead, just as an example. But I love the roof so much that I would never mat it out. I would never completely eliminate it. I just love looking out, and my daughter loves looking out it. So in a sense, I had more problem with range loss in the summertime, even where I am now, than I do in the wintertime. When I'm driving in the wintertime, the range loss that I get or I notice is when I am in the morning, we're getting ready to go, and I'm warming the car up, and I want it to be, 75 degrees or whatever it is before I leave to keep my daughter warm, to keep myself warm, to keep my wife warm. And it's sitting out in the cold. If it was in a garage, and when I had it in a garage, I didn't have to heat it up as much. I could do the scheduled departure and it worked out great for me. Here, I have to keep it outside. It's sitting out all night. It'll be 10 degrees in the morning when I get up, when I turn on the heat. So it takes quite a bit more to, initially heat it up to the 70 degrees, 75, 77 degrees, whatever it is, and then to maintain that temperature to warm the entire cab before I get in it than it would if I had it in a garage or if it wasn't as cold. Now, driving in general, I noticed that you get about 10% from just driving and then 10% from driving fast, for example, then in range loss. So if it's 330, which is probably closer to 300 now with our new range estimates, you're going to lose about 60 miles just by driving it like a car. So driving it like you probably don't think you should. So in that case, you're going to end up with about 240 to 260, somewhere in that range. Now, in the wintertime, I notice it gets about 250. So I'm losing about 10%. About 10% just for being cold. In the summertime, it's closer to 240, maybe even 230. So I'm losing anywhere to 15, 20, 25% just from being hot outside. So range loss in the wintertime is not something that I'm necessarily worried about, and I kind of plan my charging accordingly so I have it charged enough so that I can warm the car up before I head out. Now, I will say, on sort of a side note, people are also realizing that if the car is wet at night, the handles can freeze on it, and then you can't get in the car. At least you couldn't before. Well, one thing you can do is actually pop the handle the other way, and it'll break the ice that's on it, and then you can get in. But if that's not enough, they actually added this to the app in one of their software updates a few months back, where you can actually unlock the car, and the car will heat the handles up. It'll warm it up, warm up the doors on the inside to actually melt some of that ice, or try to, and then it will open the door for you so that you can actually get out, get in the car anyway in the beginning. And then as you drive, it goes away and it's not an issue. But people are also noticing in this frigid, icy cold weather that we've been having, some places it's been 60 below zero, 40 below zero. Where we used to live, it was 30 something below zero. So the superchargers are breaking. And I don't know if that's just from the cold, if Tesla hasn't been maintaining them properly, if you don't have a plowing the parking lot and just covering a bunch of them. People have been getting to these superchargers when it's really, really cold and they haven't been working. Now, I can say from experience, when I had a gasoline vehicle being in frigid cold, 30 below temperatures, I went to a regular gas pump and I noticed that the electronics of the device didn't work. The gas flowed fine once you got to that point, but putting in a credit card, putting in your zip code, doing all that stuff, it didn't work. The screen was almost blank. It was just too cold for it. So I am willing to bet dollars to donuts that the issues with the charging network, the superchargers from Tesla, have more to do with the cold temperatures than something that Tesla is doing. And I will also say that I can guarantee that if it's that cold for a Tesla charger, it's that cold for a gasoline filling station as well. So it's probably not unique to Tesla. It just grabs more media and news attention if it does. Either way, I would say that range loss is more of an issue in the summertime than the wintertime, but I hope you guys are driving safe and enjoying the weather if you have it, or if you want to enjoy it. If you're getting any of this cold weather, I hope you're staying safe. If you're getting any of the snow, I hope you're driving safe. But I really appreciate you guys tuning into the videos, watching, following the channel, all that sort of stuff. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day, week, month so far, and that you're staying safe out there. Thanks a lot, everybody.